Welcome to this week's video blog. This week's video blog is going to be part 4, I think, part 4 of a look at my keeper shelf, which is a series that I have been doing for the past few months or so, where I give you a little look-see at the, okay, is it better that one? Okay, where I give a little look-see at the, there. Okay, this is weird doing like this way. Just the books on my keeper shelf going down all the way to the ground there. So I pick out a few books each week and I go through them and just give you a little peek at books that I've kept on my shelf that have a special place in my heart and see how much I remember about them because I haven't had much time to reread as I've wanted to because there's too many books to read and too many books to write. In case you didn't notice, in case you didn't know and you're new to my channel, I am also a romance author in my um, other job. So there's that, and then there's books that I want to read. But these have stayed on my keeper shelf and have stood the test of time, and they have a special place in my heart. So there's just a few books here, and we'll start with. I don't like. I'm going like in order. Like I'll pick like the first 5, and then the next 5 that I'll depending on like where they are like on my shelf. I'm going in order, and so this one is actually book 2 in the series, and it is the John Jakes North and South series, and this is book 2, which is Love and War. And I don't know if you can see, but those are scenes from the 1980s miniseries with, oh, the other way, Patrick Swayze and Leslie Ann Down, who played Ori and Madeline. So they were like the southern side, and then I don't think they're not on this side, but there was also the Hazards, which were the northern side, and it's George Hazard and Ori Main who become friends on their way to West Point, and then they're on opposite sides. And when the war comes, then it's them still trying to like maintain their friendship. And I'm not sure where book 1 is because I have book 2 and book 3 here. So, and I'm going to be. I can't talk about book 3 without spoiling. Because if I tell you about book 3, then you're going to be spoiled for what happens. Yeah. So, and yeah, the Ori Main was played by Patrick Swayze, and George Hazard was played by James Reed. Yes. And the miniseries was amazing. The book was amazing, and you know there's of course there's things that are different that happen in the books than things that different that happen in the miniseries. Like for example, if I remember right in the book, it's George's brother Billy that gets sent to Libby prison. In the miniseries, it's George himself, which in my personal opinion, I liked that better. I liked the fact that it was George that went, and then Ori comes and rescues him and breaks him out of prison with his cousin Charles, played by the fantastic Lewis Smith. He was just perfect. He had Charlie's like just sass and just rebellious spirit, and was just amazing. I missed him in the 3rd miniseries. I did, although we'll get to that when we get to the 3rd book. So yeah, Love and War by John Jakes. If you love big, epic, military, family, war sagas, then you will love this series. The first book is North and South, which is somewhere. I'm 99% sure that I have the full book for first book. Then book 2 is Love and War. Book 3 is... Dun, 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 dun. Does this one have pictures? I don't think so. Well, it has like cover picture, but like not like a scenes from the miniseries kind of thing. Book 3 is Heaven and Hell, which deals with the aftermath of the Civil War and the South and like Reconstruction and that kind of thing. I loved book the third miniseries. There are some people who didn't, and that's fine. But I happen to love the third miniseries. And if I remember correctly, it's the same happens here. Yeah, it followed at least the beginning, if I remember correctly, followed it pretty accurately. Wherein Psycho Elkanah Bent actually, and again, spoilery, Psycho Elkanah Bent actually kills Ori, and George ends up with Madeline. And I thought that, like, I can understand, like, I loved Ori and Madeline together. I did. But I was okay with George and Madeline. I totally, like, I shipped them too when it happened. It totally worked for me. And I think because James Reed and Leslie Ann Down had amazing chemistry. Leslie Ann Down and Patrick Swayze had amazing chemistry. They both ships had chemistry. It was just different, but it was just perfection on both sides, in my opinion. In the miniseries, they got another actor played Charlie, which I missed Lewis Smith's Charlie, but I did love the new Charlie in the miniseries. I'm trying to remember his name right now, but he was the guy from Friday Night Lights. The hell was his name? I can't. Seriously, what the heck was his name? Am I going to have to Google this? Oh, good grief. Let me see. I feel awful, but I have to know. Let me see. Oh, what was his name? He was really good, and I just felt like it was just different. Like I liked both Charlies, but if you were to ask me my favorite Charlie was Lewis Smith. Not that the third Charlie was the book 3's Charlie did a bad job. No, Kyle Chandler. God damn it. There we go. Kyle Chandler played the other Charlie in Heaven and Hell, and he was in Friday Night Lights. Yeah, he was wonderful. I just missed Lewis Smith. So yeah, the third book, there are some people who they didn't like the way it ended, and they didn't like the changes that were different from like the first two books. But I loved it. I love the miniseries. I love all 3 miniseries. They are everything. Okay, so moving on. My next book is Arabesque by Ray Butler, and these were a Paradise Press book, and it was a series that they did. And let me read the back blurb here. Rising young star of Russia's Imperial Opera Ballet, the exquisite Natasha spurned the decadent attentions of the Tsar's favorite prince and won his lifelong enmity. But she had also won the undying passion of a handsome English diplomat, and together they had tasted the sweet torment of forbidden love. Separated by a devastating war, the lovers would endure exile, revenge, and cruelty. Now only a miracle could free them and unite them forever in the eternal dance of love. Oh, this was so soapy and melodramatic and angsty and just beautiful. This was just a beautiful story. Yeah. Totally recommend it. Yeah, Arabesque by Ray Butler. And I love this whole series of books. There was one book, and I can't remember the title, and I don't have it because it did not deserve a place on my keeper shelf. And it was about this, the heroine was black, and the whole story was her and this love affair that she has with a white man. And it was this beautiful story. And then towards the end, she just automatically changes her mind and she decides that she loves this black man instead, and they end up together. Just out of the blue. The whole story, for like 90%, 95% of it, was her love affair with this black man, this white man. And just their beautiful love story, and you're rooting for them, and then just 95% and they do this cop out piece of crap where she falls in love with this black man and they end up together. It just felt like a total cop out to me. And I don't remember the title of that book. I'm glad, because I did not enjoy that book. Um, this one though, definitely recommend it. The next one is Jephite's Daughter by Naomi Reagan. And it's oh yes, a tumultuous saga of a young woman torn between her heritage and her heart. Brilliant, luminously beautiful. Excuse me. Bathsheba Ha-Levi could have said no to a prestigious marriage arranged by her wealthy religious father. For a modern California girl used to shopping on Rodeo Drive and swimming in a backyard pool, agreeing to such a proposal was shocking, but irresistibly exciting. It would send her halfway around the world, to a handsome Israeli, an exotic, mysterious Jerusalem community, and to a marriage that soon made her prisoner of an ancient ways and beliefs. Trapped in a city of holiness and temptation, Bathsheba would feel her life tearing in two. If she stayed, she would lose her dreams. If she escaped, she would have to choose between the faith of her fathers and her own turbulent needs, and among three men ready to battle for her body, her soul, and her love. This book was so good. I don't know why, but I have this thing about, and I think I've mentioned this before, stories set in the Jewish community, in the Jewish religion, in the Jewish heritage. I find it like so interesting, and it draws me in, and I find it so fascinating and just so compelling, and just I love reading stories set in that world. I don't know what it is. I'm Catholic, so I don't know if like in another life maybe I was Jewish, I don't know, but I'm just fascinated by books set in that time, and I love reading books set in that time. And this is one of those books. And I loved Bathsheba as a heroine. I loved her. She was so like, oh, it was just such a good book. I loved it. I would totally recommend it. And finally, for this week's video blog, we have Jackie Collins' Chances. Y'all, this book was awesome, and this is the first book that kicked off the Lucky Santangelo series of awesome. This one centers around the beginning of sort of like Lucky's father and his rise to power in the world of organized crime. And Lucky sort of comes along and tries to get into that world, and sort of like make a name for herself. And of course, her father is like old school Italian, like does not want her to be a part of that world, and she doesn't want so much, like she wants the power, but she's not interested in like, you know, being a criminal or like anything like that. She doesn't want, and you know, that's not what she is interested in pursuing. She wants the power. She wants just to be that respected by her father, and her father loves her, but he's old school, and like women should be like in the kitchen bearing, having babies and stuff, and he wants to pass the empire on to his son, who Dario is, God bless him, is this sensitive, um just wants no part of, he just wants to, I think, be an artist. He wants no part of it. He wants no part of the power of the money. He just wants to like live his life in peace, and it's just beautiful. This kicks off the Lucky Sant'Angelo saga. The miniseries was amazing. I'm so like, I love the miniseries so much. It's Vincent Irizarry. Um, he was in Guiding Light and most recently Days of Our Lives, I believe. Fantastic actor. He played Gino. Amazing, amazing job. One of Sandra Bullock's first early roles, she plays his wife Maria, who Lucky's mother, who meets an unfortunate end because gangsters. Um, and so yeah, Sandra Bullock was in it. And Lucky Sant'Angelo uh, was played by Nicolette Sheridan, who was not a dark-haired Italian. She was a blonde who just happened. I think they darkened her hair. I'm not sure if they made it like red or black. I can't remember right now, but I'm thinking of it, and it looked kind of red, and it looks kind of red in my head. I have to like look that up, but and some people were like complaining that oh, she's not blonde and blah, she's not Italian, blah, blah. I thought Nicolette Sheridan did an amazing job, and she was amazing as Lucky. Shut up, you're wrong. She was perfect. Um, so yeah, Jackie Collins, Chances, totally recommended. Oh, and if you haven't heard, I heard that they were going to do a a movie or TV documentary thing about Jackie Collins and her sister. Jackie Collins sadly passed away a few years ago. Her sister Joan Collins is thankfully still with us. They're gonna do like a documentary or a movie or something. I saw this recently about them, so I'm really, really looking forward to that. So that's going to be it for this week's video blog. Follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/authorejamie. Excuse me. Like my Facebook page at facebook.com/authorejamie, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!